To account for its apparently small mass, science conceives of the electron as a hollow sphere, a sort of bubble. Such a bubble could exist in a medium as a gas or liquid because its internal pressure is not altered by deformation. But if, as supposed, the internal pressure of an electron is due to the repulsion of electric masses, the slightest conceivable deformation must result in the destruction of the bubble. Just to mention another improbability. That's Nikola Tesla in an interview explaining how he in no way believes electrons and thinks that they're very remedial and retarded. My ideas regarding the electron are at variance with those generally entertained. I hold that it is relatively large entity carrying a surface charge and is not an elementary unit particle. When the electron leaves an electrode of high potential and in a high vacuum, it carries an electrostatic charge many times greater than normal. Nikola Tesla. J.J. Thomson originally stated the electron is nothing more than the terminal end of one unit line of dielectric induction. It's the end of a line of induction. Unfortunately, to a large extent in dealing with dielectric fields, the prehistoric conception of the electrostatic charge, the electron, or the conductor still exists, and by its use destroys the analogy between the two components of the electric field, the magnetic and the dielectric. This makes the consideration of dielectric fields unnecessarily complicated. This is Charles Produce Steinmetz, who was a genius and arguably smarter than Nikola Tesla and perfected his AC generator. You've never heard of him because he was so smart and because he broke things down so efficiently and because he really started to crack the code of electrical field theory. To describe an electron as a negatively charged body is equivalent to saying that it is an expanding and contracting particle. There is no such condition in nature as a negative charge, nor are there negatively charged particles. Charge and discharge are opposite conditions, as filling and emptying or compressing and expanding are opposite conditions. Walter Russell. There is no such thing as negative charge, it's simply discharge. Thomson developed the ether atom ideas from Michael Faraday into his electronic corpuscle. This indivisible unit, one corpuscle, terminates on one Faradic tube of force, and this quantifies as one coulomb. This corpuscle is not an electron. It is a constituent of what today is known incorrectly as an electron. Thomson relates 1,000 corpuscles per electron. In this view that was taken by Crookes and J.J. Thomson and Tesla, the cathode ray is not electrons, but in actuality corpuscles of the ether, or they would call it ether condensates. Condensation concentrations, if you will. That's Eric Dollard. There is no rest mass to an electron. It is given here the electron is no more than a broken loose holdfast under the grip of the tensions within the dielectric lines of force. They are the broken ends of the split in half package of spaghetti. Obviously, this reasoning is not welcome in the realm of Einstein's theory of relativity. That is, of course, why it was done away with. Electrons as a separate distinct entity doesn't really exist. They are merely bumps in something called a field. Can you define field for me? Quantum mechanic atomus. But we'll get to it. It's nothing more than the gap in a field. Draw a little dotted line, and the area in between the dotted line is what they call an electron. It's the terminal end of the lines of dielectric induction in a field. Little breaks in the field, they count them, they quantify them. The way that they're able to do this, because again, the phenomena is real, the interpretation is logically bankrupt. They act like they can draw a circle there, and they pretend there's a physical particle there. And they don't even acknowledge the field or define it or know what it is. But the truth of the matter is it's pressure being mediated. Energy always mediates pressure. Everything is about pressure mediation. So you can isolate this area because of the pressure mediated around it, right? And it'll give you you can use all kinds of electronic manipulation and imaging tools to find the isolated areas with contrast based on the pressure that's mediated, and they call that an electron, which they claim is 100 million times smaller than the atom that they can't see or prove. Electrons are not particles, objects, or material. The phenomena labeled the electron is simply the dynamic principle of discharge. Pretty simple. In summary, the electron is a conceptual abstraction required to be consistent with the framework of the theory of relativity and has no actual basis in reality. It is a model. More accurately defined, The electron is nothing more than the terminal end of one unit line of dielectric conduction, or a gap within the lines of a field. These gaps within the field are isolated and reified as physical particles comprised of material for quantification purposes. However, you cannot quantify the immaterial. You can only try to create a model to do so. That's it. It's just a model attempting to quantify the immaterial.